This is Kevin, and welcome back to another anime review. And today I'd like to share my thoughts on the Witch's Forest arc from Black Clover, which consists of episode 51 to 65. And again, just like the past two arcs, the series is progressively getting better and better. And once again, this arc is great. It improves upon everything that's happened so far. More characters get fleshed out and developed. And just a great fights, all sorts of fun stuff going on. So, after the last arc ended by defeating Beto to despair, our heroes recovered another magic stone, which they returned to the Wizard King Julius Novachrono, and we got some more, plot details about what the Eye of the Midnight Sun's goals are, which is to revive the Elf tribe and all sorts of crazy stuff. And as all this is going on, it turns out that the Spade Kingdom has launched an invasion, so there's more enemies than just the Eye of the Midnight Sun. The Spade Kingdom has launched an invasion against the Clover Kingdom. And you may remember there's a character from one of the earlier arcs named Mars, who we also meet again later on in this arc. He was part of the Spade Kingdom, and they're after the magic stones as well. So, as this battle is going on, we have more Magic Knight squads join the fray, particularly the Golden Dawn, which consists of Yuno, Klaus, and Mimosa. And it's funny seeing Mimosa again, because, she has a thing for Asta as well. So there's a bit of a love triangle between Noelle, Mimosa, and Asta. And then Klaus, I forget how you really pronounce it, he wears glasses, and he has like this funny shtick where he has the glasses like falling down, and he keeps like pushing them up or whatever. And early on in the series, he was really against the commoners, against Yuno for being a commoner, but Yuno has really proved himself as a very powerful wizard himself, same as Asta. And, Asta saved their lives during the dungeon arc way back when. So, he sort of puts off where he's like, oh, he's a commoner, but on the inside, oh, Asta, are you okay? Because after Asta's fight with Veto, also awakening his demon form, he's all bandaged up, and he's walking around like this, like all taped out with bandages, and he can't use his arms. So, they're fending off the Spade Kingdom. You have, the Golden Dawn. Let me just, hold on one sec, I gotta find this guy's name. Alright, so William Vengeance, that's the captain of the Golden Dawn, and there's a little bit of a moment between Yami and Vengeance where they're talking to each other, and he's a dude wearing a mask. I'll show you his picture right here. So, like I said, the names of these characters are fucking crazy, so forgive me if I can't get them all right. So he's wearing a mask here. You see him. Well, there he is, not wearing the mask. So, essentially, he has the same voice actor as the voice actor of Licht, the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and Yami figures this out, and he's like, take off the mask, and we sort of get a flashback as to how he was scarred when he was a child. That's why he wears the mask, and he's one of the more powerful, wizards and that whole thing. And they're fending off the Spade Kingdom. We have, actually, Finral's brother shows up, who, again, I'm sorry, I'm sorry about the names, but, what's his name? His name is Langris. So he shows up, and he's more powerful than Finral. He uses, like, actual physical magic, whereas Finral is more of a support mage, and they fend off the Spade Kingdom. Even Asta gets involved, like he's all taped up, but he uses his feet to attack anyway. And as this is going on, like, his two ladies, Noelle and Mimosa, are like, "Oh, don't hurt yourself, Asta," and Klaus is like, "Oh, don't hurt yourself." Like he's like one of the girls too in the background, being all upset that Asta's in danger. And then Seke shows up again doing the ha-ha. And Noelle's like, "Wouldn't you just shut the fuck up, dude? I mean, what is your problem?" So, they find out the Spade Kingdom. The Spade Kingdom goes away. Yuno's impressed by how powerful Asta's become, despite not being able to use his arms at the moment. And they all part their separate ways. And then Yami actually takes Asta to see the doctor, the same doctor who's treating Fungolion. And we see a little bit of an image of him lying in bed still in his coma, missing his arm from his battle many arcs ago. So hopefully Fungolion can recover soon. But the doctor takes a look at Asta, and it turns out that he was inflicted with curse magic by Veto, and his arms are no longer usable. And you see as he's being told, Finral is actually eavesdropping, and he's the only one who heard that. So they make their way back to the Black Bull's hideout and have a great cookout. Everyone's having a grand old time. And Asta says, "All right, guys, well, I'm going to bed early. I got to rest up for the next mission. Hopefully my arms heal," or something like to that effect. And when he departs, Finral tells the whole squad, he says, he can't use his arms. What are we going to do? So at that point, everyone comes up with a plan to go their separate ways and figure out what they can do to heal his arms. You have Gordon and Ghosh team up. You have Charmy and Gray team up. Noelle and Finral team up. And then Vanessa, who you hear the most from her, and she says she has to go to the Witch's Forest where she was raised and confront the Queen to get the medicine. So she goes her separate ways there. So what happens is, and then Magna and Luck team up too. How can I forget that? Those two. Although all Luck wants to do is spar. But anyway, Noelle eventually comes across this man named Fonzel, who, again, I gotta see if I can find this guy. Let's see. Control F. There he is. Fonzel Kruger, right? So Fonzel, we come across him, and he's living in a house very close to the Black Bull's hideout. And apparently, he trained Asta. It gives a little flashback to 7 months ago or whatever, when Asta was training to become a member of the Magic Knight Squad. And he was there training Asta. And he's out there looking for his fiancée. Well, then fiancée, it says there on the Wikipedia page, wife. So I guess they eventually marry. Go figure. Of course they do. But, you know, he's looking for his fiancée, and that eventually leads them to the Witch's Forest. And they make their way to the Witch's Forest. And we also meet this other girl, Mariella, who is a former assassin of the Diamond Kingdom and was going to assassin both Fonzel and Dominante, but decides not to after seeing more events that go on. So they make their way to the Witch's Forest to, you know, find Dominante, and they come across Vanessa going after the Queen of the Witches, who Vanessa was raised by the Witch Queen, and we see her, she's pretty scary looking, and she uses like this ancient blood magic. So as all this is going on, you have both the Spade Kingdom and the Eye of the Midnight Sun come in to attack, to go after the blood magic. Well, the Eye of the Midnight Sun is actually going after the stone that the witch happens to have, whereas the Spade Kingdom is going after the blood magic to bring their ruler back to life, because he's very old and going to die soon. So with the Spade Kingdom, you have this guy Ladros, who's like, he looks like a Joker almost, and Mars, who we saw in the dungeon arc very early on. And with the Eye of the Midnight Sun, we see the character Fauna. And from way back when, there was a flashback scene with Mars when he got his magic power, that he actually knew a girl named Fauna. So it all makes sense later on. So eventually there's this epic battle. The witches join the fray. You have Fonzel go up against the Spade Kingdom, who he was the former teacher of the Spade Kingdom Knights and actually taught Ladros and Mars, and he talks some sense into them. And eventually Mars decides to switch sides because he comes across Asta again and remembers the sort of pep talk that Asta had with him, and, you know, decides to switch sides, and eventually sees Fauna working with the Eye of the Midnight Sun, just going completely berserk. She's got like this evil fire magic and the salamander and just wreaking havoc, and Mars realizes that that is Fauna, who he grew up with, and it cuts to a flashback of when he was training, and there was like a trial that they all had to undertake, whereas, you know, they all fought each other, and essentially they fought to the death, and the only person who would survive would, you know, become the Magic Knight. And it was Mars, and it was up to him and Fauna ended up killing herself, or at least we thought, so that Mars could go into the outside world. And he sees her, and she's essentially become possessed by the Eye of the Midnight Sun, grows the third eye that Veto had as well, and they have an epic battle there. And eventually Fauna comes to her senses, and they embrace, and really a heartfelt moment there. You know, when I sort of saw the flashbacks, it sort of was implied to me that they were brother and sister, but it's more that they're close childhood friends, and it probably appears that they're going to become a couple, or, you know, and love each other or whatever. That's how it felt to me. And you know, you have Fonzel, you know, getting all his guys in order again with Mars, and then they go up against Ladros, who is a complete madman. Let me show you a picture of all these guys too for context. So there's the Witch Queen. This is Ladros. He's like I said, like the Joker character, and he's just crazy. And then of course Mars. So let's see. Do I have a thing for Fauna? Let me see. Control F. Fauna relationship. There it is. I wish there was a link to get to her. But anyway, so you get the idea. So they all have the battle, and they eventually defeat everybody, and then it comes out that the Witch Queen, well, as all this is going on, Asta again awakens his demon power, and then the Witch Queen shows up and sees Asta the demon power, and realizes that he has no magic power, so she's going to use her blood magic, which she used before, to give Asta his powers again, to make his limbs work, and essentially captures everybody. He captures Mars, Ladros, Fonzel, and his companions, Noel, Finral, Vanessa, all of them, and starts to possess Asta with his demon powers to essentially kill all of his comrades. He's completely possessed at this point, to which Vanessa awakens a new power called the Thread of Destiny, which is like this little cat that appears that sort of just blocks all the attacks, the Thread of Destiny, and that's what the Witch Queen was trying to do all those years ago. She kept Vanessa in this cage for her to awaken this power, but eventually realized that it would never awaken her being in the cage. It had to awaken on its own through Vanessa's trials and tribulations and turmoil. And then we get more flashbacks to Vanessa as a little girl, and how it was actually Captain Yami who rescued her. And he was wreaking havoc in the village, like freeing all sorts of people, and broke Vanessa from her cage, and Vanessa didn't really know what to do. She's like, I've just lived here my whole life. What am I supposed to do? And then Yami's like, well, that's your choice to make. And eventually decided to go with him. And, great plot development for that character. It's great seeing how each arc we develop more and more characters, even feeling more for these characters like Mars and Fauna, who were villains at a certain point. And I like Fanzel, too. He has, like, this funny thing, too, where he doesn't wear a shirt very often. Like, even when Noelle first saw him, he opens the door and he's completely naked. It's like, what the hell, dude? So, lots of great arcs. And as the Witch Queen sees the thread of destiny and the power that Vanessa awakens, she concedes, well, it's this Vanessa's destiny to make, and then releases Asta from her possession, and they all go on their way and make their way home. And it was a great arc, and I like how the Witch Queen, I'm not really sure if the Witch Queen is actually the mother of Vanessa, or it's just like, she's the queen and she calls all the people who live there her children, or what the deal is there. But I like how they sort of left on a happy note there. And the Witch Queen gives the stone to them. It's actually her earring, which is kind of funny. So, but I don't know. It would have been cool to see if the Eye of the Midnight Sun went up against the Witch Queen, what she would have done using her powers to her full potential. Because, she didn't really go up against any foes. She was just kind of there watching, like, oh, I've foreseen this or whatever. You've foreseen and done nothing. So, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know your thought in the comments down below. I'm really enjoying Black Clover. I think it's a pretty underrated series, actually. It gets a lot of hate. I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird because reading stuff online from anime people, a lot of the big series get hate. Like, I've mentioned Fairy Tail, which I love as well. It gets a lot of hate. Both Naruto, I wouldn't say Bleach as much, but definitely Naruto gets a lot of hate, whether for being too long or what the deal is. I've personally never really watched much of Naruto, nor Bleach, but I don't know, I feel like people always hate on the it's almost like they want to be contrarians, and they just want to hate on the popular thing and say, I like the most obscure shit, no one's heard of this anime, it's only subbed, It's like, no, dude, I don't care, as long as I'm having fun. Like, I'm not really watching this for any deep meaning. If I want like deep meaning, I'll be depressed and watch Evangelion or something. But or what's that one? Angel's Egg, right? It's just like I'm just watching this for fun, dude. I'm watching a few episodes a night, and before I go to bed, and just enjoying it. And relatively short, like I said, up to episode 65 now. So I'm pretty much a quarter of the way through the series. And I know my friend Justin, who always comments, gives me suggestions and says I should watch Bleach and Naruto. And at some point, definitely. But I think like after watching a long series like this, maybe a short one, or maybe watch a movie or something. So thanks again for watching. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.